At my mom's 60th birthday, I walked in holding the cake I paid for. Then my sister laughed. "Oh look, the family wallet finally showed up." My uncle toasted. "To the one who gives the most but matters the least." Even Mom said, "Don't make a scene. It's my day." So I quietly left the cake, dropped the bill, and walked out. Hey, Reddit original post March 18th, I 36 hadn't planned to go to my mom's 60th birthday party. Not really. I told myself I was too busy with work, but the truth was I just didn't want to put myself through another night of being treated like a bank account with legs. But guilt is a sneaky thing. It creeps up in the quiet moments. When you're washing dishes and remember how your mom used to cut the crusts off your sandwiches, or when your sister posts a photo of your nephew with the caption, "Wish Uncle Matt was around more." So I went. I booked the flight. I called the bakery 3 towns over because Mom always loved the strawberry cream cake from that place. I even had them pipe her name in gold fondant. Happy 60th. Lorraine. I paid for everything. The catering, the decorations, even the little party favors. I sent money to my sister for the hall rental thinking at least she'd say thank you. But when I walked into the venue holding the cake with both hands, careful not to ruin the writing, the first words I heard were from my sister. She laughed loud enough that a few people turned around. "Oh look," she said, smirking to her husband. The family wallet finally showed up. I blinked, thought maybe I misheard. I gave her a smile that didn't quite reach my eyes and asked where I should put the cake. She pointed vaguely at a table in the corner and turned away like I was a caterer who overstayed his welcome. No hug. No. "You made it." "Nothing." I set the cake down gently, checked to make sure the name hadn't smudged. Then I turned and saw Uncle Ray raise his wine glass from across the room. He was already tipsy, cheeks red, tie loose, the kind of uncle who tells the same 5 stories at every family function. To Matt, he slurred, lifting his glass higher, to the one who gives the most but matters the least. There was laughter, real laughter from people who share my blood. I stood there like a goddamn statue while the people I'd spent my life helping with rent, with tuition, with cars, and medical bills, chuckled like it was the funniest toast they'd ever heard. Mom walked over just as the laughter died down. She was wearing the shawl I bought her for Mother's Day 2 years ago. She looked beautiful, elegant, proud, like someone whose life had been carefully curated by the people who loved her. Only I wasn't sure I belonged on that list anymore. "Don't make a scene," she said under her breath, her voice tight. "Is my day." I didn't say anything. I just stared at her. I think she expected me to smile, to suck it up like I always do, but I couldn't. Something inside me snapped, not with a bang but with a quiet final click, like a deadbolt sliding shut. I reached into my pocket, pulled out the receipt from the bakery, and folded it around the catering bill I'd already paid in full. Then I walked over to the gift table, placed the envelope right next to the cake I'd carried across the country, and left. No goodbyes. No drama. Just silence. As I walked out into the parking lot, I heard someone call my name. I didn't turn around. I unlocked the rental car, got in, and sat there for a full minute before I started the engine. My hands were shaking, not with rage, not yet. With something worse, emptiness. The flight back to Seattle was quiet. I didn't sleep, didn't read, just stared out the window and let my mind circle around everything that had been said and everything that hadn't. I kept thinking about how casual it all was. My sister's smirk, Uncle Ray's toast, my mother's dismissiveness. No one even tried to soften it. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a mirror, and I finally saw myself in it. Not as a son or a brother, but as a utility. By the time I got home, my phone had already started lighting up. Missed call from Mom, text from Mom, "I can't believe you ruined my birthday like that." Text from Lisa, my sister, "You're unbelievable. You could have just talked to us, not storm out like a diva," and a voicemail from my Uncle Ray slurring something about how it was all a joke. None of them said sorry. Not once. Not even close. Instead, I was the problem. I made a scene. I was too sensitive. I had a chip on my shoulder about always helping. Funny thing is, I never used to keep track. I just gave. I paid off my sister's student loans, co-signed on Mom's car, sent money every Christmas, every birthday, every time there was a just until payday moment. But somewhere along the way, my generosity became the expectation, not the exception. And expectations breed entitlement. I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I opened a folder I hadn't touched in years. One labeled Vacation Ideas. Places I always meant to go but never did because there was always some urgent family thing that needed funding. Costa Rica, Japan, Iceland. I booked a solo trip to Kyoto. I didn't tell anyone. And for the first time in over a decade, I used my vacation time for myself. Not to fly home for a family emergency. Not to babysit my nephew so my sister could get a weekend away just for me, and that's when something started to shift. In Kyoto, I was anonymous. No one expected anything from me. I wandered quiet temples, ate alone in ramen shops, sat in silence under cherry blossom trees. I didn't feel lonely. I felt free. I started journaling. Not something I usually do, but it helped. Helped me put the years into words. The quiet way resentment builds. How you become the dependable one, then the invisible one. How you wake up one day and realize you've spent your entire adult life being useful instead of loved. About a week into the trip, I got an email from Mom. Subject: we need to talk. No greeting. No warmth. Just a wall of passive-aggressive guilt. Your sister's furious. Your uncle feels humiliated. I don't understand why you'd walk out like that. Everyone was shocked. You really hurt me, Matt. I wish you'd explained how you were feeling instead of abandoning your family on a big day. I stared at that line, abandoning your family, and laughed out loud in the middle of a garden in Arashima. Quiet, bitter laugh. I typed a reply, deleted it, typed another, deleted that too. Finally, I just wrote, I didn't abandon anyone. I just stopped carrying people who never once carried me. I hit send, then I blocked her email. When I got home 2 weeks later, it was like the air in my apartment had changed. Lighter, like I'd left something toxic behind and could finally breathe again. No voicemails. No texts. No drama. Just silence. For a while, I thought maybe that would be it. That the family would write me off. And honestly, I was okay with that. Better than okay. It was peaceful. Then came the call. It was Lisa. I didn't recognize the number. She called from a work phone. I let it go to voicemail. Matt, look. I know things got ugly, but Mom's in the hospital. Nothing serious, but she's asking for you. I thought you'd want to know. I stared at my phone. I felt nothing, but curiosity is its own kind of gravity. So I called the hospital, confirmed it was just dehydration and some heart palpitations, nothing life-threatening. I didn't rush. I didn't drop everything and jump on a flight like I used to. Instead, I sent flowers and a card. Get well soon. Matt, that was it. 2 days later, I got a text from Mom's number. This one was different. Longer. No guilt. No sarcasm. I saw the card. Thank you. I've been thinking a lot about everything. I'm sorry if I made you feel like you didn't matter. I never wanted you to feel that way. I miss you. Still no full apology. But it was something. And that's when I realized the real shift wasn't in them. It was in me. I didn't need their apology to move forward. I didn't need them to understand everything they'd taken for granted. I just needed me. My boundaries, my peace, my power back. I started therapy. I started dating again without the baggage of constantly trying to explain my family to someone new. I stopped sending money. Stopped answering every "hey quick favor" text. I unsubscribed from being their savior and the sky didn't fall. They adjusted. Eventually, Lisa reached out again. This time differently. Can we meet? Just talk. I agreed. We met at a cafe near my place, Neutral Ground. She looked nervous, fidgeting with her coffee cup. I didn't realize she said finally. How much we leaned on you. How often. You never complained. You just did it. I guess I thought you liked being the strong one. I let her talk. I didn't interrupt. When she finished, I said, "Being strong doesn't mean I didn't feel it." She nodded. Then softly, "I'm sorry." There it was. The real thing. I didn't cry. I didn't hug her, but I believed her. And that was enough. Forgiveness is a strange thing. People think it's a moment, a big conversation, some tearful reunion, but really, it's a slow, quiet decision you make in pieces, usually without the other person even knowing. After my conversation with Lisa, I didn't rush to reconnect with everyone. I didn't call Mom right away. I didn't unblock Uncle Ray. I just went on with my life. I worked, cooked more. I kept going to therapy. I took care of myself the way I used to take care of everyone else, and slowly, I started to feel untangled. The first real test came 3 months later when Mom called again. This time, I answered. Her voice was softer, not apologetic exactly, but not cold either. "I'm planning something small for the holidays. Just a dinner. I'd like it if you came." There was a pause, the kind that used to be filled with manipulation or guilt, but not this time. She waited. I agreed on one condition. I'm not bringing anything. Not cooking, not buying wine, not booking flights for anyone. If I come as your son, not your sponsor. She hesitated, then said, "Understood." I still didn't trust it fully, but I went because I needed to see if anything had truly changed or if this was just a performance to get the golden goose laying again. When I arrived, the table was already set. And for once, nothing about it screamed Matt paid for this. Paper napkins, casserole dishes, cheap wine, and yet, it felt more honest than any of the expensive parties we'd had before. Mom greeted me with a hug. Stiff, but real. Lisa smiled and her husband even nodded at me politely. Uncle Ray was absent. I didn't ask why. Dinner was normal, uncomfortably quiet at times, but free of digs, expectations, or guilt. No one asked me for money. No one toasted me sarcastically. No one used me as a punchline. And at the end, when I stood up to grab my coat, Mom handed me a wrapped box. "It's not much," she said, "but I saw it and thought of you." Inside was a photo. Me, age 7 at the beach, holding a melting ice cream cone, face covered in sand and sugar. Behind me, she stood smiling, arms outstretched. "You always looked out for everyone," she said quietly, "even back then." I nodded. Didn't say much. Didn't need to. Here's the truth no one tells you. Revenge doesn't always look like a grand moment of comeuppance. Sometimes it's just reclaiming your time, your peace, your identity, the real revenge. I'm not angry anymore. I'm not bitter. I'm just free. I started a new job 6 months later. One that paid more but demanded less of my soul. I moved to a smaller apartment, cozier without the need for a guest room I'd kept just in case family visited. I traveled again, this time to Portugal. And one night, sitting on a balcony overlooking the ocean, I thought back to that birthday. That moment in the hall holding the cake I paid for, hearing the words that finally snapped something inside me: to the one who gives the most but matters the least. But now, I give to people who give back. I matter to people who don't need reminding. I'm no longer the family wallet. I'm just a man with boundaries and finally, peace. That was the moment I realized. Sometimes walking out isn't the betrayal. It's the beginning of finally choosing yourself.